Live ad rated tonight, guys. So don't miss round 25 this Sunday, September 4:05 p.m. when the Raiders and West Tigers clash for the first time since round one of 2021. And you can celebrate Father's Day with the whole family at West Ashfield with live music. Father's Day specials, limited tables are available at the Garden. Walk-ins only. If you want to show your stripes from the home of the West Tigers, West Ashfield. They are at 115 Liverpool Road, Ashfield. And for more information, visit westashfield.com.au or give them a follow on Facebook or Instagram at West Ashfield. And welcome into another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. Sorry, we're running a little bit late on the live stream tonight, guys. My internet at home, as you've probably realised in previous episodes, NBN is down the toilet at the moment. So anyone from Telstra listening, please send me a message and let me know how I can fix it. So, as always, we're sponsored by West Ashfield, the best place to watch live and loud. And of course, we are sponsored by MG Pump Solutions as well. Please give us a follow on the socials at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter if you would like to support us and take part in the show, which our Patreons, they got first crack at the poll that we're running through tonight. So they, thanks to the guys who got me to fix up a couple of mistakes. They, they pay me and then I use them as guinea pigs for the poll. What a great deal for us. But if you look, patreon.com/WestLife, join us in the Discord. And if you're on YouTube, plenty of people coming through on the stream I can see right now. Give us a subscribe, like, comments, notifications on, all that good stuff. I'll throw to my he's incognito mode at the moment. Rob Bashara, he's absolute trooper. He was touch and go to be on the show tonight. He's pushing through still. Not 100%. Rob, you were you able to see much of the game yesterday, and how are you feeling right now, mate?
Yeah, g'day Josh, g'day Aaron, g'day listeners. Yeah, this is about as good as I felt for about 5 days. Just got smashed with a virus on top of some issues I've already got. And I noticed from looking at the screen, this is the best I've ever looked as well. So I'm happy with my photo. So yeah, I watched the game. Look, obviously, really disappointing to lose. We did get a great effort, and obviously we conceded a lot less points than the week before, about a third of it. So yeah, I watched the game, just disheartened for all the guys that got called back into the team, like the debutants and then the new Browns and the Simpkins and the Littles and those blokes. I just think a win would have just given them a bit of a shot in the arm of confidence. So yeah, just disappointed for them, disappointed for the supporters that went out there yesterday, and especially guys like Aaron that travelled from Orange and all that. So yeah, it's a little bit disheartening, but unfortunately it basically officially locks up the wooden spoon now, unless there's a 80 or 100 point turnaround, which isn't going to happen this weekend. So yeah, it is what it is, but I think it was kind of expected the way the year panned out. But look, I didn't mind watching the game. I thought it was a pretty poor game all around, but two poor teams. It made it an even contest, really. But got to watch it, and we found another way to lose, didn't we?
Yeah, it's most West Tigers thing ever. The bounce on the foot. Funny enough, Aaron and I was sitting. What do you reckon? As about 7 meters from Pauga's foot, and we completely missed it. We just thought it bounced backwards by the angle because he had his back to us. We just thought it bounced backwards, and we thought, all right, that's game over. But shouts to, as I go to Az with his beanie on out in freezing cold Orange. Shouts to Gussie Az. We had a great day nonetheless in the nice weather. Meeting Gussie wearing his suspenders, getting us into the suite there at Combank Stadium. Had a couple of beers and catch up, and yeah, absolute nicest dude in the world. And thanks for having us, Gussie. And great to meet you in person. But how are you tonight, Az?
Yeah, g'day Josh, g'day Rob. Hey everyone listening or watching in. I'm not too bad tonight. Still feeling kind of flat after the result yesterday. I ended up
Yeah.
driving home the evening after the game, so it was a bit of a subdued trip home. Yeah, the foot thing just it threw me because like you said, it didn't from where we were sitting. It didn't look like it hit anywhere near him. It kind of just looked like it came down, took a bounce back towards their dead ball line. We were sitting there thinking, yep, we're about to get a penalty right in front of the post. We're about to go 8 points up. But no, we somehow found a way to lose. To be fair, I feel we were a little bit stiff with the penalty for the high tackle against whoever it was that got sent to the bin down the other end. But
Kepala.
yeah, Keppa.
Yeah.
It looked to me like the Dragons player was falling into him and he had his arm out like he was ready to wrap it around. So I feel like we were a bit stiff there to cop a penalty goal loss, but it is what it is. Like Rob said, unless there's a massive turnaround, it wraps up the spoon for us. So one more game to sit through, and then an off season, we get ready to see what the great Benji Marshall and Mr. Tim Sheens have in store for us going forward. So it's going to be good to see the results of this survey tonight. I haven't seen them yet, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And Gussie at the game yesterday, he was all decked out. It looked like he was going to be the one serving us all the
He
drinks.
did. He looked like the
In
bartender.
the end, he kind of was. But yeah, absolute legend. Was great to meet him and spend the day with yourself, Gussie, and my brother as well. So yeah.
Yep. It was pretty funny. He managed to walk. So the way the suite works in Bank West, Combank, sorry, is you get to basically the bar. Firstly, we had a two-way mirror watching the guys warm up in the sheds. So you look through. I don't think the boys could see us standing there with our beers, kind of watching them like they were lions in a cage at the zoo. That was pretty cool. And then they come out and run literally in between, like literally through the function room and out into the field. But it's pretty funny. While we're waiting for the Tigers to come out, security don't let anyone go through that middle section. And Gussie, because he was dressed like a bartender, he got your brother to film him running through the tunnel like he was running out to play, which was pretty funny. So
I was the one filming him.
It was you filming. So I didn't know it was you or
he
your
gave me
brother.
the phone and got me to film him.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. And if you see on our Instagram video of the boys running out, and that's Gussie like yelling literally next to my ear. So it was awesome experience to hang out with Gussie in that suite. So lower grades from the weekend. So New South Wales Cup got a win. They won 38-22. Their season is finished, so they finished the season with a win. Jersey Flegg, a big game, and they got done 32-12 to the Dragons. So if we look at the table, so on your left there, if you're watching, that's the New South Wales Cup. So the Magpies, they're second last, well ahead of Blacktown Workers, Sea Eagles, but second last. No wooden spoon. Good on the Magpies. We're not getting a wooden spoon. But the Jersey Flegg guys, so they were running third last week, and they've dropped to fifth. So it's top five. So they'll play the Dragons again next week, funny enough, and at Cogra as well. So fourth and fifth, it's lose and you're out, whereas second and third will play each other. Winner goes to play the Roosters, who get a week off. So if we beat the Dragons, we play the loser of Knights v Panthers. So hopefully the Flegg boys can bounce back and have a run into the grand final. Now, my news, boys, I actually have no news since yesterday. I had a few technical issues, hence we were running late tonight. I have a blank screen in front of me. Do you guys have any West Tigers news? Is there anything you've heard? Anyone in the comments at all? Rob, is there anything you've heard down the grapevine at all?
Oh, not a rumor, but just a fact. Kapoa got a week for that tackle on Lomax.
Yep.
so he'll miss the last game against Canberra this weekend. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but if you're pretty good lip readers, he's probably lucky to only get a week as well. So let's just say there was a little bit of a homophobic slur as he was walking off the field towards one of the Saints players, but luckily for us, that seems to have been let go now. So that's the only bit of news I've got in terms of suspensions or injuries or anything like that. So it will be interesting to see who we name in his place at left centre this weekend.
Kylie S said the golf day. The club are promoting their golf day. I guess go to the West Tigers website for that if you want to play golf with the players. Maybe you, Rob, if you get your health back, play golf with the West Tigers. Maybe you can play Ambrose with Mr. Pascoe or something.
I'd have to go in the last group, Josh, so they wouldn't try and hit up on me and hit me in the
head. Any news, or can we move on? We'll move on to the game on the weekend.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything going around at the moment other than the rumor that we were going to sign Cameron Munster for $7 million over 5 years or whatever it was. But
someone just said that in the comments. I thought they were joking. That was from last week, wasn't it? That was
it was. Sheen's knocked it on the head.
Yeah, Sheen's not. Yeah, it was a joke. Tim Sheens came out and said, I thought it was a joke. I was kidding. I wrote it in my diary that day. Buzz Rothfield said a very funny joke. I'm quite an Anchorman for anyone that didn't get that.
It's the only thing I've heard in the last few days.
Yeah. Righto, so this god-awful game yesterday, we'll touch on it before we get to the player rating poll. Obviously, we lost 24-22. We had the lead basically, from the 24th minute, we led the game all the way till the 79th. Rob, I'll let you go first. What are your takeaways from this one?
Look, I'll go through some positives and negatives. Obviously, as I said earlier, the positives were, we held them to 24 points, which is a lot better than 72. I felt even though we had an undersized pack, I always knew the fact that we were putting some new guys in, and as I said, bringing back Little and Simpkins, etc. New Browns playing for a contract. I just thought there'd be a lot of enthusiasm, which there was. The disappointing thing for me, we just looked terrible until they had a player sin binned. And effectively, we played a St. George team that had 12 players for a quarter of the game, and we still lost. So that was disappointing. The basic errors, just like losing the ball at the play the ball, that happened so many times. And some of our better players, had those moments. So it was a little bit rocks and diamonds. I was just, look, we go up and down about this talk about effort. We said, even in the earlier rounds when we lost to Gold Coast and the Titans, we tried hard, and fans were saying, we're sick of close losses and glorified losses. Well, after you get flogged by 66 points, you do want to see effort, and it was there for 80 minutes yesterday. So I guess the positive is there was effort, there was pride. The negatives for me, I mean, I know there's a lot of inexperience there, but you mentioned the Pauga thing, and it's not to single out Pauga. I've been a big stickler, Josh and Aaron, about our club. I don't believe pays enough attention to detail on the little things. And I'm curious now as a supporter, do we practice receiving short goal line dropouts? Do we practice trying to retrieve a ball from our short goal line dropouts? Do we practice kickoffs, the short kickoffs, the attacking kickoffs? Do we practice the field goals? Because you mentioned that we're playing Canberra this Sunday, Josh, for the first time since round one last year. I remember Kapoa being on the left wing last year, running backwards for a ball that was going to land almost on the sideline or a metre in from the sideline, and he just had to put his foot on the sideline.
That's right,
and touch the ball. So to me, I believe that the players aren't taught properly. Now, some will say they should know the rules. What I would ask any of the listeners that have played league growing up as a junior, I mean, the league nerds all know the rule. We all know that you could.
I knew that rule when I was 11. I reckon.
We've all known that rule, and we see
Yeah.
so many first graders not use it. Like, it's not even just stand on the line and touch it. You can stand outside the field of play and dive in like Superman and touch the ball 5 meters off the ground and knock it forward. As long as it hasn't touched the ground first, it's out on the full. Like, you don't have to just stay, like a statue on the sideline. You can dive into the field of play and touch the ball, and it's still out on the full. So
I didn't know that. I thought you had to have 1 foot planted.
No, if you've come from outside the field of play and touched the ball before it hits the ground and before you hit the ground,
right? I didn't
then
know that.
it's out on the full.
I thought you had to have. I thought you had to have a foot on the grass.
No, you can also dive in, and we hardly see, like, our guys don't do it. And as I was about to ask, like, if any of our listeners have played junior league, I would say that not one coach would teach you that thing growing up, but at some stage when you become a professional athlete, you've got to be taught the rules. So if we've got a backs coach and he's got all the fullbacks and all the wingers and all the centers, and it might not have to be in first grade, it can be in lower grades or flag or wherever. Like, what are we doing? Why isn't there attention to detail to this? Like who stands inside the 10-meter line to receive a dropout? It was just like the bloke had no idea, and like, he's never going to forget it ever again. But it just goes to my thing with anything that happens within our club. It's just, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's someone else's fault. He didn't know the rules. Like, okay, if Kamali's saying he didn't know the rules, I'm not blaming Kamali. Pauga should be taught this in lower grades, but when you get to first grade, you've got to know your role. You've got to know what you're meant to do in certain situations. And it just really bugged me because, look, there's no guarantee the ball would have bounced backwards if it didn't hit his foot. It might have travelled the 10 meters or whatever, but you've got to know. You just can't give the game away. Like, if that ball doesn't go 10 meters, Doueihi's taking a kick from right in front. And he'll probably milk a minute and a half off the clock, and we're down to 30 seconds either side of 8 minutes from full time with an 8-point lead. So it just and as I said on the socials today, it's like the way we lose games and the things that happen to us. They're like you try to sell it in a movie script. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling couldn't make it up.
You couldn't make it up, but it happens to us in like the Cowboys finish and some of the other things that have happened through the year, and it's just so West Tigers and it's frustrating, but I didn't watch it like I wasn't like jumping up and down when we scored or getting the shits when they scored. I was just like pretty calm because I was pretty medicated. But it's just disappointing, man. Like, you want to win a game every now and then. So
Kylie made a good point on YouTube. Gavin Badger's on staff, so why is he not teaching the rules?
Yeah, but I think like for that sort of rule myself, I think you've got to practice these moments. Like,
yeah, true.
I'm sure like Josh. We always refer to American sports. If we're talking NFL, the NFL teams practice a 2-minute drill. From their own, basically their own end zone, trying to work at 100 yards up the field. And these are the little 1%ers that you've got to get right. Like, there was a period maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we couldn't kick a field goal to save our lives. We couldn't even set up to kick a field goal. The one we kicked against South to win the game was beautifully executed. A little bit of a decoy, give it to Brooks. He kicked it. Jacko's was the best field goal you'll ever seen, but that was more by just ad-lib than design, but it had to be from close to 40 meters out. But you've got to even practice your field goals. You've got to practice those little things. And I just don't think, and that can go back to Madge or whatever, but if we're talking development and we want to develop players, teach them the freaking rules as they're coming through. So when they're in first grade, they know, like I'll give you an example. Do all our players put their foot on the sideline from the kickoff? Like, just stand on the sideline. And if the ball's not going to go near the sideline, then come in and catch it. Why aren't all our players on the sideline or dead ball line?
You taught that in cricket too.
But I mean, are they? I mean, I don't see our blokes standing on the sideline. I don't. But anyway, I'm probably harping on a bit too much about it.
No, it's those 1%ers. That's let us down all year. And we've lost. What was the stat? I saw on Twitter. We lost. Was it 8 games by 6 or less this year?
Yeah, and
something
a couple
like that.
2 to 6 points. I think there was 4 of them. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
So there's been a lot of games. Roosters game aside, we weren't. Maybe there's only a couple of games where we were absolutely smacked. There was a lot of games where we should have won but didn't, and it's just this small 1%ers that we just somehow keep getting wrong. It's dumb. I've seen our team being called dumb. I've called them dumb a number of times over the past few weeks, and it's 100% true. It's just dumb football, dumb mistakes, dumb
It's
not
a
knowing
lack
the
of football
rules.
IQ. It's a
Yeah,
lack of
it's just
football IQ. But you need to teach that in players. Look. I want to focus on a couple of positives, all right. And I'm not talking like I know Freebarn dropped a couple of balls from dummy half, and it's not the positives about the tries. For the first time since they've debuted in first grade, I thought Freeban and Diaz actually bent the line in a couple of runs. I hadn't seen that from them. Like for what in Diaz's case, probably 5 games. So I was actually happy to see that. I actually, even though Freebarn's 27, I feel like, okay, well, this guy might have a bit of potential. The downside is, like Doueihi looked like a genius with a couple of tries, but that was against 12 men. But then the chase he did on Moga was incredible, and even Naden to just be there with him just in case, to make sure he went over the sideline. Look, there are a lot of I enjoyed the game probably because of the closeness of the game, but I never thought we'd get close, Josh, because I thought we were undersized, but I thought we'd have a bit more points in us
and unmotivated.
Well, it seemed like we're unmotivated, but as I said, if you get 6 or 7 guys playing for contracts, haven't been in first grade for a while, I felt sorry for the kid that only got 3 or 4 minutes. I mean,
yeah, that's insane.
He's only 2 touches, man. He missed a tackle.
I hope he gets to play this weekend.
Well, mate, he dropped a ball that was basically on his chest. So, like, I hope I don't want to judge him on 2 moments, but like, I don't know if he'll get another chance. Like even with those 2 touches, because that drop ball really was the last straw for the game. Like, we'd given him so many chances, and we're probably in a position to work downfield and kick a field goal or score the winning try.
Yeah, just so many moments where it could have swung the other way. I'm not sure how you follow that as before you go, as just on Adam Doueihi, Rob. I put on Twitter, like, in all the excitement during the game, that the West Tigers should be giving Adam Doueihi a contract ASAP, and got absolutely hammered for it. Like, it seems like half the fan base are out on Adam Doueihi. I don't get it. Yes, obviously the Roosters game last week he had a shocker, but we lost by 66. Like, it was just an anomaly. Like, every player was shithouse in that. And I wouldn't judge anyone off that game. It was just one of those games you just throw in the bin. I find it hard to comprehend that people are so far out on Adam Doueihi, and I don't get it. What are your thoughts on that, Rob?
I was absolutely just as shocked as you, Josh. I try and be pretty logical about how I assess it. You've got to look at who Adam's got around him, the forward pack that he's playing. The forward pack that he's playing behind, the number of players that are missing. Yes, 100% he had a shocker against the Roosters. I'm not defending that.
He's also got nothing to play for at the moment, too.
Someone made a comment, I think it might have been on your tweet, Josh, which was a pretty good point. He's probably getting a lot of backlash because of that talk that he wanted to finish the year with the Storm. So it
was a throwaway comment too. Like,
yeah, but you know what? Yeah. That might be causing a little bit of resentment. But the fact
maybe.
But the fact that they're saying, oh, he's not worth it, or he's not this, or he's not that. I mean, look, they're entitled to their opinions. I just think that they're just being so harsh. I mean, yes, he dropped the ball cold with 4 or 5 minutes left.
Taking it was
the
a big
ball
drop.
Out from it. Yeah, look, it was a huge moment. Yeah. But I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Benji Marshall days where he'd have a great game, but then he'd throw the ball over the touch judge's head into the crowd, and everyone would just bag the crap out of him. Oh, Benji's this and Benji's that. Yeah. And I just feel it's like almost like a similar, like, unless he plays a perfect game, he gets absolutely bashed. And look, the only thing I will say, Josh, I'm not defending the people that are bagging Adam Doueihi.
And they're entitled to their opinion.
Look, they are entitled to their opinion, but I kind of, in my head, I'm trying to justify it in the way that as a supporter base, we are all so frustrated with how 2022 has panned out, that sometimes we say and, say things that we deep down don't mean. We're just super frustrated because I genuinely don't get how anyone could not think Adam Doueihi shouldn't be a part of our 17 next year and shouldn't be on a substantial contract as well. Like, okay, if Adam shouldn't be there, give me someone that you'd put in his place, and don't start with Cameron Munsters and Cherry Evans. I mean, give me someone around that's a pretty good number 6 that you think is better than Doueihi that would make our team better and
That we
loves
could
our team
sign.
as much as he does.
That would play for us as well.
Yeah, that would play for us as well. So, look, I don't know, Josh, but I just think, like I said, we're all frustrated, and our best players generally cop it because we expect the most from them.
Yeah. Sorry, Az, you're I set you up to go there, but I just really wanted to hit on the Adam point. What do you? We're obviously at the game, so it's a bit of a different perspective. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it was just another one of those ones we managed to throw away from a position we shouldn't have thrown it away from. We got a little bit stiffed on some of the calls, but it's just the low footy IQ just befuddles me sometimes. I wanted to ask Rob 2 questions. From what you could see on TV, Rob, did it look like that try? I think it was Dane, or the no try.
Yeah, someone
that I
mentioned this in the comments. Yeah,
where it looked to us on the big screen like the ball touched grass, but
yeah, we cheered. We thought it was a try.
Yeah, it looked like a try. And just to go back on, you said another bad decision. The first try St George got, I don't think it was the try scorer, but the guy that was like at least a meter in front of him,
and he's within 5. Yeah,
and he's within 10 meters or whatever.
10, whatever the rule is. Yeah,
yeah,
he's easily within 10.
Clear offside. I don't know how the bunker rules that a try, but it looked like when they scored that try and we'd come out pretty listless. I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be a bad day, but it turned around pretty quickly. But back to what you said. I think Dane's try was a try, and it looked like it hit the grass, but. It's the West Tigers, man. We just never get these decisions. It's crazy.
And it was old mate in the bunker as well.
Yeah, Klein. Surprise.
I'm surprised that last play. When we went for the short kickoff, I was screaming out, challenge it. Why didn't we challenge it off the kickoff? A couple of our guys fell to the ground on that short kickoff at the end. Why didn't we? Why was there no soft whistle?
Yeah, I got no idea. I don't know what to say.
And just the other question for you, Rob, you talked about how players can start from outside the field and jump and touch the ball, and that's considered out. How would that work with the short dropout that hadn't reached the 10? Would that still be a penalty to us, or would that be a penalty to them? Because or is that kind of a grey area?
In front of the 10, you're not allowed to touch it.
It's pretty black and white from a restart, such as a dropout or a kickoff. Firstly, there's no advantage. So number one, you can't have an advantage. So, for example, if you caught the ball and ran for a try and it hasn't traveled 10 meters, tough luck. The ball has to travel 10 meters. So you can stand within that 10-meter area, but you're not allowed to touch the ball. And it's the same from a kickoff from halfway. You can do something silly, and like, for example, if someone does a grubber kick and you think, it's trickling, you might want to stand half a meter inside the 10-meter line. So as it's crossing the line, you dive on it first. Before your opposition player does. But you've just got to stay out of that. You can't touch the ball. Once you touch the ball, it's a penalty. Once it's within, if you haven't let it travel 10 meters, it doesn't work. And then the really crazy one, but I'm sure most of the footy nerds out there know it. If you're doing a short line dropout, like yesterday's one where Pauga touched it, and there was a big wind favouring the Tigers, and the Dragons did the dropout, and it's travelled past the 10-meter line in the air, and then blown back to the 5-meter line. It's crossed the plane. It's play on. Yeah. So, and that's the same. That applies to a kickoff from halfway as well. But the thing is, like, how long would it take to teach the players those rules or to execute them a couple of times? Like, it's just a 1% of guys that.
Rob, I knew that rule as a child, because when you play like kickoffs that don't make 10 meters, happen all the time in like under 10s and under 11s, because you can barely. A lot of kids, they miss kick it or whatever. We knew that rule like back then. Like literally 10, 11, 12. You should know that. Should know that rule. It's been the rule. I played rugby league over 20 years ago, and that was a rule back then. We knew it, so it's been a rule. It's not like it's a new rule or anything. It's been around as long as I've been alive. So
Yeah, I know, but I just think, a lot. You look at a lot of and like I say, I'm not putting the players down, but we knew the rules, but those blokes were playing rugby league and they're pumping weights and they're athletes and they're not footballers. They're athletes. There's a big difference. They've got to learn the rules so they can become footballers. Until then, they're just going to be, I don't know, like just blockhead footballers. Like they've got to be smart, and they've got like you said, Badger's on our staff. Or if he's still on our staff, why isn't he teaching them? Like every year the rules change. Every year the rules change. Surely the whole football squad in every grade is told by Badger, these are the new changes. This is how it'll affect us, and this is what we have to do to counteract those changes. Like I don't think it's too hard, and people might think we're just harping on one thing. That's the difference between winning and losing games, guys. It really
was game
is.
over. It was literally game over.
Yeah,
8-point lead, done.
pretty much.
And then
anything else,
Josh,
Az?
Yeah, so you guys were talking about Adam Doueihi as well, and the one thing you didn't mention that you pointed out to me during the game was that one set where defensively he made like 3 or 4 tackles in the set, and two in the same play, because he went for a tackle, they got an offload away, and then the play starts to go down to the left edge, and then it starts coming back in again, and about halfway between where Adam made the first tackle and the edge, he makes another tackle to bring the player down. Like I said it to you during the game, he really put in a captain's knock. Obviously, he made a couple of mistakes, but if like it's highly unlikely that any player, especially a half, is going to have a perfect game, because there's just so many nuances to the game of a half, where I feel like if they have a perfect game, then that's like a very, very rare thing. You see even some of the best halves that have played the game have like made some plays where they didn't quite get it right, whether it be a grubber kick that just went dead or something along those lines. But yeah, Adam, to me, he put in a real captain's knock, and it was probably I'd say it was one of his better games of the season. He just had the captaincy. He took on all that extra onto his shoulders, and yeah, he was probably one of the better players of the day. So,
question on Facebook from Stephen. He's asking when Kepa Ola was sin binned, why wasn't Lomax sent for a HIA? Which is interesting because he kicked the goal. Was it a high shot, or was it called a shoulder charge?
No. It was he was penalised because the contact was with the head. So
even though he was,
as Aaron said earlier, it was quite unlucky that he was ducking. But the unlucky part for me was if Kapoa just stays out of it, Naden's dragging him over the sideline.
Like he almost anchors him to stop him from going to the sideline.
Yeah, he was on his way over. It was just such a dumb play. But I mean, it's dumb. Like it's dumb, but it's also done out of enthusiasm. You know what I mean? So you can't sort of bag the bloke, but I don't know. It's just a heat of the moment thing. So, but it's funny he says that. There was another one the other night. I'm just trying to think of who it was, but anyway, I'll think of it shortly. But there was another guy that there was a head clash, and he didn't come off, and he stayed on the field. I'm just trying to think of who it was. It was a different NRL game. If anyone else can think of it, just type it on the screen. I've just had a mental block.
Was it in the Roosters and the Storm game? Because a whole lot of stuff happened in that one.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It was that game, because it was for Waria Hargraves got sin binned for striking a Sofa Solomona on the head, and Solomona stayed on. So how does that work?
Not sure. Just noticed the crowd, about 9,700 people there. I reckon. What do you reckon? It's about 50-50. As maybe slightly more Dragons fans.
Yeah, I saw a bit more red and white there, but I'd also add that there were a few a few supporters for the Eels NRLW team, because there was an Eels NRLW home game before our game. So some of those guys probably would have left and decided to not hang around to witness what the rest of us did. But yeah, it did look like there was a little bit more red and white than there was orange, black and white, unfortunately. But can't really blame Tigers fans for not wanting to show up after what we witnessed at the SCG just 8 days before it.
It's sad, because if these two teams were both in finals contention, I reckon we'd sell out Combank. Like two of the biggest fan bases. You think back to the semi-final, 2010 or 2011, 2010, 2005, played the Dragons in semi-finals. Like great rivalry, and yeah, we would have packed that stadium, but both teams are shit. So it was just the losers like us.
That 2010 one, Josh, I stand corrected, but I think it was over 70,000 people.
It was 82. It was sold out.
Was it 82? Was it? Wow.
Pretty sure it was 82. It was like literally sold out. It was divided. My mate, who's a Dragons fan, bought the tickets. So there was literally like the stadium was almost cut in half. It was like white and orange and black. So I was in the white section, unfortunately, and just was just that field goal by Sal and the last play. Let's save. Let's not
get another time.
Let's not get too sad. Anything else to bury this one and throw it in a well before we go to player poll, guys?
I can't think of anything. Just a much better effort than last week, and I hope they can back it up this week. But a lot will depend. A lot will depend on the results. As in the Brisbane St George game before we get to play Canberra, and whether Canberra rests any players up. But one thing I will say, guys, I don't think they win that game without Jack Bird yesterday. He literally lifted.
Yeah, he played well, didn't he?
He just absolutely put it on his own shoulders to get him over the line. So, he played really well.
Just before we get on to the poll, I only realized tonight that I got the date wrong. So I've written September 11. So it's actually September 5. The next Monday is when this Tiger Fit. So I don't know why I wrote September 11 was Mad Monday, but it's actually whatever Monday's date is. This coming next Monday, so not tonight, next Monday, going to start these Tiger Fit sessions. Got a couple of people interested. So if you are keen if you're anywhere near Olympic Park, you can make it to Olympic Park on a Monday and Thursday night, then shoot us a message. It's really affordable, about $20 a week, and you get it's $10 a session pretty much. So send us a DM or podcast at westlife.com. The weather's going to be 24 degrees tomorrow. The weather's starting to pick up as we go into spring. So time to get those summer bodies back. And if you need some help with that and talk footy while you do it, send us a DM or podcast at westlife.com. Righto, play a poll, or play a rating poll, rather, starting with Stefano. So we had literally about 100 entries. So thank you to everyone who submitted for these. So start with Stefano. So a bit of a tough one, but so I've added a few comments as well. So in the poll, for those who didn't fill it out, I added a section where you could actually give us a bit of a blurb on what you thought the player was, rather than just give us a number. So I went through and plucked out a couple of people. So Ethan said a bit of a backwards step this year for Steph, but injuries have played a big part. Looking forward to seeing him next year. Cohen said disappointing. He was never really 100% this year. Hopefully he can bounce back and show more of that end of 2021 form next year. Interesting one from T Money. I thought I'd add in. He said, "Is he ever not injured?" How many, apart from this year, was Steph? How many injuries can you think off the top of your head as from Steph?
I don't. Well, during his time at Para, I don't actually know if he copped any injuries. I think their delay in playing him was more of a waiting for the time where they needed him to come in for depth. But yeah, I don't think he's really had that bad an injury run. And he played how many games for us last season? I've got his player profile open. He played 21 out of 24 for us last year, so he only missed 3 last year.
You guys there?
Yeah, as you've cut out. I thought that was my
Can
internet.
you hear me?
Yeah,
we
got you back now.
Got you now, yeah.
What was the last thing you heard me say? I basically just said I don't think he really copped that many injuries during his time at Para. From what my understanding is, they just didn't really have the need to play him. As for last season with us, he played 21 out of 24, so he didn't miss that much footy last year. And I don't remember if it was due to injury or not.
Yeah,
I've
I
got all the player profiles open for tonight.
I certainly don't think he was injury prone, and I think they were just being cautious this year. Also in the comments, guys, give us what you think each as we go player by player, what you gave him or what you would give Stefano. First up, Rob, what are your thoughts on Stefano this year? Do you remember what you gave him? I don't have your numbers up, sorry.
That's okay. I feel like the top comment that you read out is pretty much what I said. I actually said I was disappointed with his season, but it could have been from the injury he copped early in the season, and he never really bounced back. So yeah, I pretty much a mixture of the first two comments there is what I said, and I think I rated his year as a 4 out of 10.
What's your guess? As what was your rating?
I rated him. I think it was a 5. It was an okay season from him. I feel like we brought him back from his injury a little too soon. Because he copped the injury in round 2 against the Knights. Game 3 against the Warriors. And then came back round 9. I wasn't expecting him to come back until probably closer to the bye or after it, because they said it was around an 8-week layoff, but it didn't, or an 8 to 10 week layoff. And I just feel like they might have brought him back a little bit underdone. And yeah, he just never really got back to his best, and it was a bit disappointing. But I hope a full preseason will help him get back to his barnstorming best from 2021 next year.
So it was 5.2 for Stefano was the average across the 100 votes. So I think that's about right. Tom Freebarn, rather. Solid. Craig M said, solid clubman, won't let you down if called upon. Was a Magpies captain for a reason, and you see it when he plays. Josh D said, with not many games to show in first grade, he proved even at 27 you can help a team. Love the efforts, and he's a wonderful backup for Bloor in the back row. And Leighton, the New South Wales Cup veteran, showed in 4 games this season that he belongs at NRL level. Does he feature in the Sheens, Benji, Farah going forward? Probably not. However, his ability to play ball as a 13, his excellent defence and hard-working attitude gets a 7 from a small sample size. A good rotational piece in the top 30 squad. As I'll let you go first on Freebarn.
Yeah, I gave Tommy a 6. It's a bit hard. I feel like it's a little bit hard to rate them higher when there's not really a huge sample size to rate them from. He's shown plenty in New South Wales Cup for what he can do. He's good depth for the boys in the second row and even at lock potentially as well. Whether or not the Benji sees him as a ball playing lock will yet to be seen. But yeah, I really like what we've seen from Tommy in the 4 games he's played for us this year. He's taken it on the chin. He's given it a real red hot crack in all 4 games, and I was happy to see him get that double on
that was cool.
On Saturday. On Sunday, it was very much deserved.
Yeah, I wonder if that spiked his numbers a little bit. But Rob, what are your thoughts on this? I was going to say kid, but he's a man.
Yeah, look, I'm a bit with Aaron. Anyone that's like, we're rating everyone on a year. Anyone that kind of played 4 or 5 games, I couldn't give them over 5. Like, it's just hard to give someone a big score when they've had minimal impact, and that even applied to Adam Doueihi. Like, he's only played 8 or 9 games or something like that. So you can't say someone's wow or whatever. But anyway, with Tom, my opinion changed of him yesterday. In terms of effort, he's a 9 or a 10 sort of player. There's no difference there, and it's not, as I said, it's not the tries. I just felt he bent the line a little bit yesterday, which I hadn't seen from him previously. I thought he was just a real, good try hard sort of bloke, but doesn't really have much impact. And I saw a different bloke yesterday. So maybe he's having got a little bit more confidence having played a few more games, and perhaps, a full preseason with a first grade squad next year, that could really help him. So I'm going to just reserve judgment on him for next year. I'm not going to say he'll make our first grade team or not, but if effort's anything to go by, he'll be there. He was really good yesterday. I mean, it's just disappointing he did those silly errors playing the ball, but other than that, he had a great game.
6.0 for Tommy. 6.0.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a small sample size, but I think, as you said, it's hard to judge and give a huge, unless you light the world on fire, it's hard to give a big score for someone like that. But I think, I mean, he got picked once and he kept getting picked. I mean, there's not much to pick from at the moment, but he hasn't been a play he should be playing back in Reggie's next week. So, he's definitely, this will be an interesting one. Tyrone Peachy. So Brandon said, poor signing, paid way too much for him to be at the club. He just wasn't the player he used to be. I don't think I've ever seen a bloke get sent to the sin bin as often as he has been for us. His discipline and errors were really bad this year. He needs to turn it around or look somewhere else. Brandon being a bit harsh there, Rob, but it was pretty much the voice of most people as well.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with anything he says there, but we did pay too much for him. We didn't use him properly. I think, I don't know if he's past it. I don't believe he's past it. I think he's too talented to pass it. I just think, like I say, I don't know the bloke, or I don't know what his personal situation is or anything like that. He's the sort of bloke, if there's a coach that believes in him, gives him a bit of TLC, gives him snaps him to sort of train harder and work harder and whatever. Yes, he's had too many sin bins, etc., but where have we played him this year? We've played him centre, wing, lock. Like, he's just been everywhere throughout the game. The guy can do a job. I mean, he can score a try too. And the one thing I will say, if Benji wants to play that fast style, Benji and Tim Sheens are talking about playing that fast attacking style of footy next year, he actually would fit in if he could get his head in the right spot. But the way the club's treated him, and it might be Peachy's own doing for this, but the way the club's treated him, you're not going to inspire anyone by just shunting him back to reserve grade. I mean, okay, it started with all really nice. We'll make you one of the 5 captains and all that sort of stuff. But we never really had a ball playing lock. And I guess that comes back to Madge. We should have given him a go at 13 and it might have worked, but I think he got off on the wrong foot with Madge, got into reserve grade, and he's never looked back. And obviously we mentioned halfway through the year that he could look elsewhere and no one else wants him. So I don't know. I think he's a project that could be resolved, but it's up to Sheens and Benji and Robbie if they want to do that.
Did you notice him in the room yesterday as he was getting around in a white hoodie with his hood over, which is kind of interesting because literally Brooksy, Twoley, who else was there? Ken, who else was in there in suits as Garner, yeah, like all the injured players. We had about $5 million of players in suits walking around the place. Peachy was there grabbing we literally grabbed a salmon bowl off the same waitress table at the same time, and I looked up this guy in a hoodie, and I then realised it was him. But yeah,
I didn't actually realise it was him, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't want to say, like, because you were next to me, and I didn't want to say, oh, look, it's Peachy, because it'd be too fucking awkward and obvious. But yeah, it's just interesting that he had his hood pulled. We were in the function, and every other player was in suits, and he wasn't. So take that for what you will. But thoughts on Peach, Az?
Yeah, I agree with Brandon. I said he wasn't. He hasn't been a particularly great signing. He's just been thrown around in too many positions to actually be able to contribute anything of effect. The thing that bugged me the most was the comment he made pre-game round 2 about not really knowing what his role was, and then the way he came out and played that game just showed a player that didn't really care. I added that he wasn't a leader and probably never really should have been in our leadership group. But that's not really on him. He was voted by the rest of the team, so or maybe he only needed one vote from someone else in the team to actually make it. Maybe only those 5 players actually got votes, and Madge was just like, F it, you can all be captains. But yeah, I rated him a 3. He's done a okay job at times, but overall he's just been pretty poor. He might be a decent depth signing next year, and I agree that he might actually work well under the Benji, Robbie, Sheensy combo next year. And I've just had a look at his player profile. Would you believe that if he plays next week, or if he doesn't play next week, or this weekend coming, then he only needs 9 more games to reach 200. So he's been around for a while.
Yeah. 2.9 for the pitch. So 2.9. So
That's about
right. So far, so I had technical issues earlier, so I don't have any quotes on poor Alex, but I'll get check my notes here for his number. So Alex got 4.9. So literally, how annoying in a test if you get 49%. But so a slight fail mark there, Aaron. Is that harsh on Big Red? What are your thoughts?
I'd say it's fairly accurate. I was a little bit more generous than that. I gave him a 6. He had some games earlier in the season where he really put in and performed really well. He had a few starting appearances. He had a few really, really good moments. In some of the games he played, something that's going to live rent free in my head is in the first game against the Warriors at Campbelltown, where one of the Warriors players was on the ground and he was kind of screaming at them to get up. Like that was fun. But yeah, he played all right. He'll be another solid depth signing next year if he hangs around. Obviously, he'll most likely be behind Papali'i and Blore and maybe a couple of others as well, or he might be 3rd or 4th in line. So it'll really all come down to seeing what the new coaching staff want to do with him, what they see his role being. But yeah, I feel like he'll be able to do a job for the team next year, either off the bench or as a backup.
What are your thoughts, Rob?
Josh, I think I gave him a 4 from memory.
Okay.
I agree with Aaron about how hard he tries, and he did have a couple of good games. I think one in particular against South on the night we won with the Brooksy field goal. But for me, it's all about expectations. And from what I saw last year with a couple of really good performances, I thought he was going to come on this year. I think he's gone backwards. And like I say, it's not that he doesn't try. I just thought he'd be a better player this year. So I'm actually disappointed. I understand that he could be a depth signing, but wow, like we're really talking depth there, Aaron, like maybe number 21 or 22, because I just don't see him being in our 17 or having a good 17 with him in it. And it's nothing personal. I just don't think he came on, guys.
Jimmy Tarmel. So I'll let you go first with Big Jimmy. Rob?
Look, I think I might have put 5 for Jimmy. Again, I didn't expect much from Jimmy this year, because I thought last year he was reasonably poor on the field. I mean, he's a lovely bloke and a good captain and says all the right things, but I didn't see enough from him last year. But this year, I really felt he put his heart and soul into it, even though he physically didn't show at times. But he did have a few good games. He scored a try or two, I think, this year. The fact that he lost his crap last week against the Roosters, as I said, I'm not condoning it, but it kind of made me happy that he cares that much. Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know if Jimmy's going to play on or not, but yeah, I thought he had a reasonable year and definitely a better year than last year, but was it enough for us? I don't think so.
So it was I'll let you go, Az, before I reveal the score for Jimmy.
I also gave Jimmy a 6. My main reason for giving him a little over a pass mark was because I compared what I gave him or how I rated him last year, which like Rob said was not all that great. At times on field, he's had some really good moments as well. He's one of the best leaders we have off the field, and on it when he's on form. He reached 300 games this year as well, so that's an incredible achievement from him, and a great servant of the game for many years. He's definitely past his best now, but as I've said a few times before, I reckon he'll have at least one more solid season in him as a bench prop if he wanted to go around one more time.
5.7 for Jimmy in the end. Oh, and I just lost the slideshow. Alex Twal was up next, boys. As you want to go first with Twally while I try and get back.
Sure.
The slide there.
I feel like if we had a most improved award this year, Twal probably would have been a very, very strong candidate for it. He had really no side of game or dimension to his attack in previous seasons, but we saw a lot more from him this year. He found an offload. He was able to break the line a lot more. He carted the ball up a lot further. It was really disappointing seeing him go down with that concussion because I honestly feel like we were in for a really, really good end to the season from Twally. You could tell that he was disappointed with the news that he wouldn't be playing again this season, but from the perspective of getting him right for next year, because it's 3 concussions in the space of 9 to 10 months or something like that, that it was necessary to say you're gonna sit down, you're gonna see the rest of the season from the sideline. But yeah, I gave him. I probably would have given him a 7.5, but I gave him an 8 because he showed massive improvement from last year, and I'm really excited to see how he goes. Hopefully, as one of our starting props for next year.
I did have a comment for that one. Brendo said, really come on this season. His attack has improved exponentially, and his defense is still most consistent in the NRL. A shame about the head knocks, and hopefully he's fully fit for next year. Kind of said what you said there. As thoughts on Twally, Roberto?
Yeah, pretty much what the guys have just said there with Brendo's comments and what Aaron said. I gave him a 7. I really didn't go heavy on the numbers for anyone, to be honest. But yeah, his defense has been rock solid for years. His attack definitely improved. And like, let's be fair, one offload per year would have been an improvement. So like there was definitely an improvement, but he did bust the line a few times, like you said, Aaron, in particular that power game with the famous Jacko field goal at the end of it. He was really running with a lot more purpose, a lot more vigor, and a lot more belief. So yeah, look, there's definitely, I'm excited if he can develop that attacking side of his game, but he's always been an error-free sort of guy, and I think he's just got to let the hair down and just understand that there's 2 sides to rugby league, and really he needs the coaches to just push that attacking side of him and hopefully develop a little bit of talent there, because he's certainly strong enough to be able to create an offload, and we need a lot more second phase play, not just from the Papali'is and the Sean Blaws. We need it from everyone. So look, he had a great year, and he's probably if he'd have played the whole year, I think I would have given him as much as Joffa, but the fact that he had to, leave early, I mean, you got to be fair about it.
He got 7.0, so pretty good.
That's
He missed 3 tackles all season as well. So 1 against the Storm, 1 in round 5 against the Sharks, and 1 against Manly at Lottoland. So
from how many
408? 408. Wow. So that's a 99.3% efficiency.
He's a Don Bradman of tackling.
Ridiculous. So good.
Inhuman.
Yep.
Zane Musgrove. So Brandon. Now there's a couple of Brandons. I literally picked all these comments at random, and there's literally multiple. They're not the same Brandon. They're multiple. There's a lot of Brandons in this poll, and different email addresses. So I think they're different Brandons. So if that name pops up a bit tonight, I didn't use the same guy multiple times. It is different people. But he said about Zane. This Brandon said, too hot and cold this year. He has been a troublemaker in the past. I'm not sure about if he'll make an impact long term for us. I feel he is a bench player at best and normally a reserve grader. Personally, I'll move him on if he doesn't improve in the off season into next year. Rob, what are your thoughts on Zane Musgrove?
I agree with that comment, and I think I wrote something like he's a bench player for us. Look, we've seen some good games from him. The one against Newcastle recently at Campbelltown, he was our best forward. He was impeccable all game, and then you watch him the week later, and he's bad old Zane again. So, even yesterday he wasn't good most of the game, and then he makes that fantastic break and gives the ball to Jock, I think it was. So.
Yeah.
Like he can play. If we parted ways with him, I would say fair enough, but he has got enough ability and good play in him to be salvaged as a player. So it's really up to him. But yeah, I wouldn't be fussed either way if we let him go or kept him. As long as if we kept him and it was a cheap price, fine. But yeah, he needs to be more consistent, guys. He's just not consistent enough.
Well, he did take a pay cut to stay with us, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did from the Dragons. I think Dragons offered him a bit of money. Well, he might end up at the Dragons then.
As thoughts on Zane?
Yeah, it was a very hot and cold season from him. I agree with what Brandon said there. My main issue with him this year is he's been too reliable for an error or two. Most of them when he comes off the bench, like first or second play or first or second involvement, he'll just drop the ball or he'll attempt to dodgy play the ball, just trying to be too quick about it, and it just kept shooting us in the foot so bloody many times. We ended up winning the game, but the one I can remember the most was the game against the Broncos. His first half, he only played like 7 minutes or so in the first half, but the first half from him was terrible. He made 3 errors in that half, I think, and then he came good in the second half, but yeah, he was just way too hot and cold. I think I gave him, I think it was a 4, so bit middle of the range there.
5.3 for Zane.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think too, guys, with a lot of these forwards, especially like someone like Zane Musgrove played better when Jackson Hastings was halfback. So it depends who your halves were and who's putting you on the front foot and steering the ship. So I just think, I might be a little bit biased, but I find Jackson Hastings makes the players around him better. Okay. And that's a really big thing. And when you've got inexperienced guys there, such as your Jocks, etc., I don't think they're as good. So it's really important to have a good game manager there and telling everyone where to run, basically. Like you always see Jackson pointing here, pointing there when he was halfback. So I think that does make a difference to each individual.
Kelma Tuolagi. So Craig M said very poor, had high hopes once decision was made on going to Manly. Looked like he lacked motivation. Matt said would have rated higher, but he took a few weeks off mentally. Would have been good to see him continue to develop as a Tiger. Rob, Kelma Tuolagi.
Yeah, I agree with both of those comments. And, it's sad that, like, he switched off to a degree, yet guys like Garner, who we'll get onto later, is also leaving, and he never switched off. But, I see Kelma, like, just, for 10 or 20 minutes in games, just be this absolute missile. Like, a couple of hits he did yesterday, like, I was watching from my bedroom, and they hurt me watching it. Like, he kills people when he hits them. So I know he's going to be a superstar at Manly because he'll be motivated every week. But, yeah, for us, I'm just disappointed that, he kind of switched off once Madge was gone. I think he just kind of thought, you know what, well, no one gives a damn around here. Let's just cruise through the year and let's not get too injured.
As?
Yeah, my comment about Kelma was it was essentially a tale of 3 seasons. He had a all right start to the season. He was awful poor in the middle, and then he's been pretty decent in this late season little surge before he jets off to Manly. I rated him, I think, a 4. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Yeah, I really do wish we saw more out of him this year. It was just like Rob said, that little period in the middle of the season where he gave up was just it wasn't great to see. Like you could see that he had clearly already half packed his bags and gone to Manly. But yeah, I hope. Well, I'm sure he's going to play better for them next year than he did for us this year. And fun fact, while I've got his stat page up, he's got 16 kicking meters to his name this season.
Probably grab a kick somewhere. Actually, that was against. I remember.
Kicks.
Wasn't it a combat?
Yeah. I feel like it was against the Titans. There's a kick.
Nah, so he made a kick.
Was a disallowed
against-
try somewhere?
Hang on. Yes,
remember-
yeah,
didn't he-
actually
he
it
put
was. He made a kick for 8 meters against the Titans in round 4, and he made another one against the Knights for another 8 meters in round 8.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you need an 8 meter kick, he's your man.
Maybe it was a brookie. He put a kick in for someone, and the try. I think it was against the Titans on the Gold Coast. He put a kick in, and it was just they didn't refer it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a long season. Luke Garner. So Jezza said played with more effort than most, even though he's leaving. Think he was unironically our best centre all year. Obviously, we're counting him as a forward, even though he played a decent chunk of the season at centre. Peter Dickinson said one of the more reliable players genuinely improves with each season and will be a lost. And then another Brandon, I think it's a different Brandon. Luke Garner on the field has been quite inconsistent, but when he is playing, getting early ball, making tackles, he could well be a top 10 back rower. It's a real shame he's going to Penrith because I personally like the style he plays as a back rower with good early ball, breaking the line with pace and putting 110% effort in most games. This year, I feel he's definitely distracted on the next year moving forward. I think we're losing a quality depth back rower. So Brendan rates him highly. What are your thoughts on Garns?
Yeah, with Garner, I said he did a job in the centers when he needed to earlier in the season, but he definitely did his best work when he was playing in the second row. By far one of our more consistent players for the season. It's definitely going to be disappointing to see him go. But I threw in a special mention his try against Manly at Lotto Land. That was one of our better tries for the season. The way he just streaked away down the sideline and still managed to score, beating Tom Trebojevic of all players. So yeah, he's definitely going to be missed going forward. But yeah, he was one of our better, more consistent performers for the year.
Yeah, I remember I tweeted out, it looked like a prime Chris Lawrence and tagged Chris Lawrence. And Chris Lawrence replied saying like, how good was that sort of thing. Thoughts on Garner, Rob?
Yeah, I gave him a 7, Josh. I think he's in our top 5 players for the year. As Aaron said, he had to play a lot of centres. He never let us down wherever he played. Part of that comment I kind of disagree with. I don't think he was thinking of going to Penrith next year. I think he was still pretty focused all year, to be honest, unless I've misheard that. But yeah, I just thought he was outstanding, guys. I've always thought he could be something special. I don't think it was super special play this year, but given he was playing in the centres a lot and what he had around him and stuff like that, he's a good player and he's going to be so good in a Penrith system. Like,
yeah,
personally, I'm not a Matt Eisenhuth fan, but when you see how Matt Eisenhuth is playing with Penrith, and I think Luke Garner is a lot more talented than Matt Eisenhuth.
I was saying the same thing as you said that.
Yeah. Garner's going to be an absolute beast there next year. So, look, good on him for sticking it out in tough times with the Tigers.
Yeah, and
I gave him a 7 as well. I forgot to mention that.
6.7 for Garner, so it's just under 7.
Not too bad.
Jacob Liddell. So Byron, pretty sure it's Byron, who's a regular in our Discord and a Patreon member, tackles his heart out but gets lost in attack and can get caught being too slow and stunting the attack. Good close to the line but can't produce quality service consistently. Leighton Perrin Russo, he said, Little has some of the worst service from hooker in the NRL. Little is slow from break and cannot dictate terms in the middle third. His development has completely stunted over the past few seasons to the point a transitional hooker in New Brown and rookie Jake Simpkin took game time from Little. 10 appearances, 1 forced dropout, 0 try assists. Little heavily linked to the Dragons in 2023 with the arrival of Appy Coruscant. There is no room for Little in the club any longer. Leighton did some ripper comments. He could write the script for us on this show. He did really well. So thanks, man, for your contribution to this. Rob, Jacob Little.
Yeah, look, they're summed up perfectly. I think what I put on the survey was I can't ever fault the bloke's effort. He tries his hardest, but he just doesn't have the class to be a first-grade hooker. He's definitely got the effort and the intensity and all that sort of stuff. So if someone can develop him in some way or teach him to distribute better or own a game better, then, he would succeed somewhere else. But the guy, you can't knock the bloke's ticker. He always has a go, but, he's not going to be the hooker that takes us to the promised land, unfortunately.
Oh, Brandon, one of the Brandons is in the comments. Thanks for your contribution, Brandon. As Jacob Little.
Yeah, I gave Lids a 4. I didn't we didn't get to see too much of him this year, and some of the games he played pretty limited minutes. He's been a little bit too injury prone, and he just hasn't been able to reach the heights that I think the club was saying that he could reach around the time that he was working under Robbie earlier in his career. He just a bit too slow from dummy half for my liking, and we need a player if we're going to have a backup to Appy next year. I think it's probably going to be either New Brown or Jakey Simpkin who comes in as the 14. And I just don't think there's much room for Little at the club, considering we've also got Brewer who can play, who's a dummy half as well. So if he goes somewhere else, I'm sure he'll improve there. But he just hasn't done it, I guess, as a Tiger.
I think you do pretty well in Super League. Just throwing that out there. Like, he hasn't got any kid, doesn't have a kid, I don't think. So I think a bit of experience for the fellow Coastie, maybe over in the Super League, I reckon he'd carve up. So 2.9 for poor Jake.
Wow.
Wow.
That's heavy.
I'm guessing they were probably we couldn't
Sorry,
give zeros.
3.9.
3.9. Oh, 3.9.
That sounds a bit better because I gave him a 4.
That's a bit more reasonable.
New Brown. So he's in a Bears jersey in the graphic because they hadn't. I don't think they've taken one in a West Tigers one yet. Ripper smile too. He had. Did you notice him yesterday shirtless, giving his jersey to one of the kids in the box yesterday? Absolutely amazing rig. I enjoyed that. But Joey sorry, Joey. I think it's Lulock. Loulach. I'm not sure how I pronounce that. Always good for a try out of dummy half, but his service is a little slow. Would like to see him given a go at 13 next season. Douglas Ward said a great backup for Appy next year. Really like his energy and his character. Someone who can really.
Lost you, Josh.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Josh, we can't hear you.
I think he's just in his own little world there.
Well, while he's doing that, I think I agree with that second comment. He's definitely has a lot of energy and what have you to the team. But I think he needs to be better from dummy half as well. He's not just doing little selfish darts for a try.
Yeah, they ended up catching onto those pretty quickly, other teams, and it started to lose its novelty, and it was a little bit harder for him to make them happen. So the fact that he does it, he attempts it so often, and it just more often than not, it doesn't work out. Kind of took a bit away from our attack this year, but overall, I think he had a pretty solid season.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, got you now, Josh.
We lost you halfway through that second comment.
I've lost him again.
Oh, he's gone again. Oh, he's left the
He's
call.
gone again. Unreal. Let's wing it, Aaron.
What we do best, eh? Yeah. It was a pretty solid season overall. I said in my comment that he was a pretty solid mid-season signing. He showed what he's capable of. He can fill in a few positions. He's a better option at 14 than Jakey, just for the sole reason that he can play more positions than just hooker. And I look forward to seeing how he develops with the tutelage of Sheensy, Benji, and Robbie next year. I can't remember exactly what number I gave him. I think I might have given him a 6 or a 7, somewhere around there.
I think I gave him a 5. Are you back now, Josh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you now.
No, sounds like you didn't even need me. But yeah, as you were, as.
Oh, I'm done.
No, we're both done, mate. We've just finished.
Oh, you're done? Okay.
How
much did you hear? I read the whole goddamn fucking summary by Byron. How much? When
lost you halfway through the second comment.
We were talking over you. You were just talking to yourself. So me and Aaron just kind of winged it.
Because I obviously can't see when I'm reading the slideshow.
Yeah.
Can't see the screen. So Douglas Ward said, I don't know if you heard that one, a great backup for Appy. I really like his energy and his character, someone who can really help with club culture. And then Byron said, Byron did a great summary here, so I'm reading it for a second time, this time for everyone else. Everyone else's pleasure now. Close second to Hastings for fine the season, considering the journey he's been on to get back to the NRL. The guy has taken his opportunity by the balls and taken off. Easily our best hooking option this season. Dynamic around the ruck and dangerous close to the line. Likes to scoot and breaks the line and is able to lay on the ball for support when it finally shows up. Not an 80-minute player, but doesn't need to be. Can be the perfect sub-package piece to complement Appy next season. Could be a great 1-2 punch from dummy half. No kicking game, but not a big issue. Nice comment there, Byron. Add some full stops so I can breathe, though, for next time. Yeah. You agree with those comments there, boys?
I agree with the stuff about dummy half near the line. I don't agree with his dummy half play everywhere else on the field. I think he's got to, as I said maybe a week or two ago, he's got to engage the markers. He's got to engage that A defender a bit more. He's got to give our forwards doing the hit ups a bit more time. He's got to look like a threat from dummy half in the middle of the field, not just when he's 1 meter out from the try line. So I do want to see more from him. He's definitely one of the feel-good stories of the NRL this year. Like, you love him. And what the good thing is for me is he can play hooker. We've seen that he can play 13, and basically he's a halfback. He's a 6 or a 7. So he can definitely do a role in multiple positions. The fact that our club hasn't snapped him up yet makes me think they're not sold on him yet, because we've
apparently,
sold.
I did see a rumor that he's re-signing.
Oh, well, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice, because we definitely need him. And I, look, he's obviously kept Simpkin and Little out of the hooker position for quite a number of weeks now. So, look, he deserves to be re-signed. But he definitely has improvement to his game that needs to happen.
And he was an average of 6.7, which I think is about right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think I gave him
Joe Offengowie, so Les Luland, that's a tongue twister of a name. Les Luland said, best player all year round, worked his ass off with the team, and from the outside, it seems it's very much a glue guy within the playing group. Chris G said, one of the better performers, gives everything, hopefully with a better pack around him next year will help him. Darcy said, what a season. From his talk, his defense, his tough runs, everything. We do not deserve someone like him with his passion. I have seen a rumor that the option hasn't been taken and possible off to the Dolphins, but fingers crossed. I'm hoping not.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he doesn't go. He has been our best player this season, our most consistent player this season. You probably could give that honour to Jacko, but Jacko's missed a bit too much of the season. I reckon I gave him a 9. He was by far our best player, our most consistent player, and I really enjoyed watching him. The main thing I mentioned in my comment was he talked the talk after round 5 when we had a shocker of a game against the Sharks, and the comments weren't directed to just the rest of the team, but he directed them towards himself as well. And ever since he made those comments, he's just stepped up on field. He's shown the leadership. He's been a leader in that forward pack, and he just, I agree with Les. He tried his ass off each and every week after that, and you always notice his impact. You can always notice the meters he's ran. I'll see if I can find his average running meters in a game from 23 appearances. So he's played every game, has been 124, which for an average is pretty solid. His total running meters, 2,862.
It was 8.5 for Joffa. Was that obviously pretty high, but he's been pretty good for us, Rob?
Yeah, I think I gave him an 8. Look, as you know, can't really disagree with anything Aaron said there. I think as the year went on, his minutes got bigger. I hope he doesn't go to the Dolphins and didn't get offended by Benji saying that he's not a lock or a ball-playing lock.
Yeah.
But look, he gets through a mountain of work. The only thing I say, I think, and like I say, I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate here. Like we look at how good Joffa's been for us, and we look how good guys like Twolly's been good, good for us. Are they that good, or do they look that good because the supporting cast in the forward pack isn't so good? That's the only thing I get tempted with. Like, what would they be like in other forward packs? But the thing I love most about Joffa is he loves the West Tigers. Like, it's just his passion, and that's what we need. The club talk about wanting West Tigers DNA in the club. I know we got him from Brisbane, but he's really bought into the club. So I would be very surprised if we let him go. But, has he earned an upgrade in pay? He probably has. And we don't have much around him, to be honest. So he would be a big loss if we lost him. And just quickly, guys, just before I finish on Joffa, I know it's a bit of a tangent here. I saw Aaron Woods miss a tackle on Stafford Toa yesterday, a straight off one off the ruck hit up, and Stafford Toa ran straight through Aaron Woods. If we're signing this bloke for 1 year, we all need to be shot in the head. Like, I don't want Aaron Woods back at the club. He's just absolutely fucking hopeless. He's nowhere near the player he was 5 years ago. It'd be the worst signing ever. But yeah, that's all. Back to Joffa. Resume
That's
transition.
That's relevant.
Yeah, well, like if you're not gonna worry about an extra 150 or 200K for a player that's busted his ass, but you're prepared to spend that 150K on a bloke that can't tackle a back one off the ruck, like, give him the money he deserves and keep him. Don't sell the bloke short. He's earned his keep. Like, he's been our best forward, and look, he might not have been our best forward if Twolly had been on the field all year, but they probably would have been side by side, I reckon.
Jakey Simpkin. So Kathy said, not enough game time to gain consistency. Probably edges lids a little bit and spark out a dummy half. I find at times Simpkins can lack concentration. Limited opportunity. Paddy said, limited opportunity, unfortunately, because I think Jakey is a real talent that could be a top hooker in a few years' time. Hope we hang on to him and he can learn a lot off Appy next year. Gerard Milliken said, good backup for Appy if he sticks around, although he needs a firecracker if Rua gets some time. Thoughts on Jakey Simpkin, Rob?
Look, I'm just a little bit disappointed. I expected more from him this year. What I saw last year, I thought he'd come on a bit more this year. As we've pointed out a few times, his numbers in New South Wales Cup have been pretty bad in terms of his missed tackles and what have you. He had an absolute blinder against Parramatta. I keep referring to that Parramatta game that we won, but geez, we had so many good players that day. But he really had a big game at hooker before he came off injured. But I don't know. Like, I know he's contracted to us for 1 more year, but I also kind of feel he's been told to look elsewhere. So it'll be an interesting one. I know the guy can play, but personally, I don't think he improved as much as I hoped he'd improve.
As?
Yeah, we didn't get to see a whole lot from him this year. He's played 9 games and he was 18th man for 3. So it yeah, he hasn't really had the chance to display much of what he displayed last year, I feel. Um, Definitely a good option to be a backup to Appy at dummy half, but like I said before, I feel like Nu has that little extra edge of being able to play multiple positions, but he could also be a good backup there if he does hang around both him and Nu. I think we'll learn a lot from Appy. It was mentioned, I think, whatever night we streamed when the Panthers and the Rabbits played each other, but there was there were some beautiful bits of play by Appy in that game with dummying one direction and then running the other and then getting passes away and stuff like that. And if these other two can add that to their game, if they can learn a bit more of the IQ and the smarts from Appy, then I don't see any reason why either Nu or Jake could end up being pretty good number 9s going forward. So I don't remember exactly what I gave him. I think I might have given him a 5. Another one of those limited opportunities, so couldn't really give him too much higher than that.
5.3 for Jakey on average. Fanua Pole, Chris G says future in forwards, runs well with good leg speed. Needs to work on the small fundamentals like ball control, but still only a cub. And Tim said, looked like a first grade the minute he ran out. He'll play every game in 2023. Bends the line and carries tacklers on his back. Looking forward to seeing him in the pack next season. Thoughts on this kid, Az?
Absolutely stellar start to his career, much like what we saw from Stefano in his first season. He's jumped into first grade and he's taken the opportunity with both hands, and he hasn't looked back. I agree that he's probably going to be a maybe not a starter, but definitely could play off the bench next year and be a really, really good bench forward for us. I actually went against my rule of rating them lower for limited exposure this year, but he's played every game since his debut, so I've given him an 8 because he looks every bit the first grader with a bit of polish to his game over the off season. Learning a bit more from the older, more experienced forwards around the club. I think there's definitely good and big things to come for Pole next season.
Rob?
Yeah, I agree with what Aaron said, and in particular with both those comments that you've posted there from our listeners, Josh. Look, I think what I wrote on the survey sheet was pretty simple. Outstanding debut season. I really didn't think there was any need to add. There's no weakness to his game that from what I saw. I only rated him a 6, not because of he's a 6 out of 10, but just the fact that you look like he only debuted 5 or 6 weeks ago. So he's pretty much played a quarter of a season. I just couldn't give someone a 7 or an 8 or a 9, on a quarter of a season. But if that was if he played the whole season the way he's played, the last half dozen games, I'd give him an 8 or a 9. But I just thought, the sample space is a bit small, but outstanding potential. And definitely the find of the season from the forward pack for us.
7.6 for Fanua. So, people are rating him highly. Last of the forwards, Austin Diaz. What are your thoughts on him? A bit tough because he's only, again, limited games, Rob. But, what are your thoughts on this kid?
Look, pretty much like I said with Tom Freebarn, tries really hard. I was actually happy that he bent the line a couple of times, which I haven't seen him do in previous, limited minutes. Look, maybe with another preseason, he'll be even better again. But, we've just got to give these guys a go. But I'll just reserve judgment on him. I think I gave him a 5 out of 10 because he didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything super great either. So I just thought it was, put him as a middle of the road number and gave him a 5 out of 10. But look, hopefully he comes on a bit next year, and he's definitely got a taste of first grade now, or a few of the boys have got a taste of first grade. So hopefully they come on a bit next year. We're going to need them to. We really are.
5.2, so you're pretty much bang on the money there. Az, what are your thoughts on Austin?
I gave him a 5 as well. Again, limited exposure, so he came in and he's played pretty well since his debut. there was a couple games where he was a bench warmer for the entire time, which was a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I think given preseason going into next year, he could potentially make his mark in the forward pack as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully some more development from Austin in the preseason, and looking forward to seeing what he can bring us next year, along with some of the other young guys in the pack.
Righto. So that is the forwards done. We are going to save the backs, so the likes of Brooksy, Jackson, etc., for Thursday's show, because we're at 90 minutes already. So we'll get to the backs on Thursday. If anyone was waiting for any of those guys, we're sorry, but you'll just have to tune in on Thursday as well. We're going to finish off with our MG Pumps 3, 2, 1 for this week. Who would like to go first?
Not me.
Not me. Josh, you can go first this time. You always copy one of us, so why don't you go first this time?
Yeah, I'm trying to open my spreadsheet. I'm not making an excuse. This computer's giving me hell tonight, but I'm going AD3. I don't care what anyone says. Adam was our best player. New Brown for 2, and for 1, I'll go Freeburn. Freeburn scored 2 tries. He's got to get it. Oh, look like a copy. Who have I copied? No, he's got Nathan. Tiger at 2047. It's got Nathan, so I didn't copy. Can't be accused of copying. Yeah. Adam, New, Tom, for me. Right, someone has to go
works.
now.
Yep. I'm going Adam for my 3 as well. I haven't rewatched the game because it was a pretty traumatic end to witness live, and don't want to put myself through that all again on a rewatch. So based on what I saw live, I'm definitely going Adam 3. He was in everything, had some really good play, had a couple of errors, but like I said before, as a half, I kind of expect there to be at least an error or two week to week, and I'm not really going to blame them for it. But yeah, definitely captain's knock by Adam. So yeah, he gets my 3. I'm giving my 2 to Joffa because once again, he was everywhere in with his run meters, and he laid the platform as well for the halves and the backs to run off as well. And yeah, for his double and overall pretty solid game, I'm going to give Freeburn my 1 as well. So I copied you with 2 out of 3 there, Josh. But
that's all right. Rob?
Yeah, I went Adam for 3 as well, guys. And obviously, he made that error near the end of the game, but it was a real captain's knock from him. So 3 for him. I gave 2 to Freeburn. I thought, it's just a shame about those errors from the play of the ball. Otherwise, I'd probably give him man of the match, to be honest. I thought he played really, really well. I know he didn't get involved that much, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from Naden, guys. He has bought into the West Tigers. It's like he's returned home, and he's never been a part of the club till a few months ago. So
I don't get a lot of fans. Not like I see fans criticizing him. I think he's been a great, very underrated signing for us.
What are they criticizing him for? Like
I
know he got suspended. I know he got suspended, but he's bought in from the first game at versus Canterbury at Leichhardt. Like he tries his ass off, and I like I said, I just like to see him play in the centres, but I'm really encouraged by what he can do. He's strong, he's tall, he's fast, he's elusive. Man, I just hope he's got that mindset for next year, because he's an absolute asset to the club. Like I'm really becoming one of his big fans. So yeah, I'm really happy with what I've seen from him, and I hope he gets in the centres next year. So yeah, Doueihi, Freeburn, and I've got to get his name right. I keep calling him Freeburn, and Naden.
Yep. Okay. Righto. 1 week to go. I've left the graph off on purpose. It's going to come down to the last game. There's only 6 between first and second, so you probably guess who those 2 players
I reckon
are.
Aaron, is there betting on who we've got as the winner? Because I reckon Aaron's trying to get Joffa over the line.
He didn't give me his 3, but
he gave him 2. He gave him 2.
Check the comments. Craig said AD2 free barn new. Tiger 24. Yeah, Adam, Nathan free barn. Rachel said Adam offer. Nathan. Yeah. Rob, I promise we'd be under an hour tonight, but well, thank you for soldiering on into the night. I know you're been really really crook lately, so everyone send Rob a nice message on the socials to help him get through it, because it's been a pretty rough week for you. So we're thinking of you, mate, and
thank you guys.
Really appreciate you pushing through and coming on the show tonight. Same with you, and we'll get to farewell the season come Sunday, and we'll preview that game. Father's Day on Sunday as well.
Salute the season into oblivion.
Yeah, and we'll keep going for another 4 weeks. We'll go right up to NRL Grand Final before we have a well earned break, I think. So thank you to everyone who joined in on the stream tonight as well. We appreciate you. I saw Gussie was there earlier. I forgot to say goodnight. He said goodnight in the comments, and I forgot to bring that up. So Gussie's tucked in with his teddy bear right now. Good night to everyone else. Enjoy the rest of your week. And you guys know how we finish each and every episode. As always, boys, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
You're listening to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. As always, we are sponsored by West Ashfield Leagues Club and as well as MG Pump Solutions. If you could please subscribe if you'd love to hear us again. We're going to have episodes twice a week, every week this season, Mondays and Thursdays. So we're going to, as the season rolls in, be sure to catch us every week. And if you can, give us a like on the socials, so at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Search for WestsLife Podcast on Facebook. And if you'd like to take part in the show, patreon.com/WestsLife. It's just a couple of bucks a month to help grow the show. We'll see you again next time on the WestsLife Podcast.